I've been gonna make this video for ages, and I've kept putting it off and putting it off. But I just think I need to get on with it and do it, because I've wanted to create a retro gaming channel for quite a long time. I think there's a really good retro gaming community now, and I get a lot out of it, and I know other people do, and I watch so many videos on YouTube about retro gaming that I thought it'd be a good idea to put a little back in there, as well as just being a consumer of it. And a lot of people have told me that I should do this, because I've got so many projects ongoing all the time that it'd be a good idea to document them and share it with other people. Maybe someone will be interested. I was thinking that I'm going to call the channel Retro Gaming Therapy, or Retro Game Therapy, and that's because I first got back into retro gaming as a bit of an escape from modern life. For a long time I'd been playing kind of modern video games, if you like, and you know when you're playing a video game and you look to see how many hours you've spent on it, and you realise that, you know, it's not just hours, it's days, weeks, or even months. And I'd been that like that with quite a few games, namely Fallout 4. I've spent so much time on that game, Skyrim, and they're really, really good games. But even though they're engrossing, I don't know, I feel a little bit soulless if I've had sort of a 3-4 hour, 5 hour marathon on them. I feel a little bit empty afterwards, and it kind of makes me think that they're probably not very good for your mental health. And I think that's, you know, there's been times when I've been struggling with work or other things in life, and I've wanted an escape, and I've found that retro gaming really has helped to do that for me. And I think it's because it helps me think back to what life was like when I was growing up in the 80s, and how much easier things were. And I guess maybe it's just looking back through rose-tinted glasses, but I just feel like we were all happier back then. And I always kind of joke saying I wish I could bring my kids up in the 80s. Things were just very different. And I thought about, you know, what did I spend my time doing in the 80s? And, you know, it consisted of playing outside with my friends in the street, playing on skateboards, BMX, you know, with little Matchbox cars, making ramps for them, all that kind of stuff. Then it would have been Lego, and then finally it would have been coming indoors, not just when it's raining, but especially when it's raining, cold, miserable, and playing on my computer, either on my own or with my friends. And there's a little story about my first computer, which is this. It's my childhood ZX Spectrum, and the story is that I sold this to a friend of mine when I bought my Amiga, which is just over here, which I've still got. I got my Amiga as a Christmas present, and I kind of thought, I don't need this anymore, this old thing, you know. I've moved on from that, so I sold this to my friend for £10 in probably about 1992, and I sold it with everything. And then probably about 4 or 5 years later, I realised I'd made a massive mistake selling this, and so what I did was I bought it back off him, and he'd been playing it in that time, because I think his family, you know, struggled a little bit for money, and I think this came to him later on in the Spectrum's life, and I think he was really, you know, grateful. I think he was really happy to have that opportunity to play on this. But when I decided I wanted to buy it back from him, I think by that time, we'd have probably been, 16 years old, something like that. And I think he'd moved on again. So I actually bought it back off him for £10 for what I'd sold it for all those years before. And it had got a little bit dinged up in that time. It had got a dint down here on the fascia. The rest of this actually was okay. It had a little bit of a wobble on the board. The heatsink had a bit of a wobble, and it's because one of these feet had been missing for years, and just through constant use it had caused a bit of a wobble, so it rattled a little bit. So one of the first things that I did was I give it a bit of TLC. I got rid of that heatsink and put a modern pitching mode regulator, and I replaced the fascia as well. I got a new one from I think ZX Renew or somewhere like that. So yeah, I kind of brought this thing back to life. And then what I also did was I also had my tape recorder that I used as a child. This was given to him as well, and this was in a bit of a sorry state. The back of it here he'd sort of written all over it in marker pen, so I painstakingly tried my very best to get that all cleaned off and get it cleaned up. And then some of the internal parts were kind of beyond repair on this, so what I did was I bought another one of these off eBay that was working, and I lovingly restored this with parts that I cannibalized from this other one, which was just not an economical way to do it, but it just had that sentimental value to it, especially because they were both bought for me as a present for me and my sister by my grandparents who have been deceased for many years. So it just meant a lot to me. So I got those back up and working, and I've still got many of my favourite games from back at that time. School days, I absolutely loved that. I used to spend so much time just writing on blackboards, just annoying people, getting thrown out of lessons, throwing stones, catapulting, all that kind of stuff, I think you could let mice loose in the classroom and all that stuff. And I just used to really enjoy, to me it was a little bit of an open world type game, at least as open world as the Spectrum had to offer, because I never really worried about what you were supposed to do to complete the game. I just used to have fun with it. So I enjoyed that. Also, I guess along similar lines, Feud, this was one of my favourites, and it's only since I've come back to this as an adult that I've actually completed this game, because the hardest thing about it was knowing where everything is. So I actually printed off a map and played it with the map on the wall next to me, and I managed to complete it. It's not a difficult game to complete, but it's a really good fun game again. Also, I've got here Dizzy. This one is Treasure Island Dizzy, but I actually played the original Dizzy probably most, and for some reason I haven't got that one. I think it never made its way back to me when I bought the Spectrum back. But again, that's one that I loved. A little bit open world again, you could go around and adventure, and again I used to spend more time kind of just exploring and maybe just enjoying playing around than I did trying to complete the game. And then finally, this is the other one that I've pulled off I don't know if I can point to it because this is reversed, off the shelf over there. I've got quite a few games over there. This is the other one that I picked out, Ghostbusters. I used to spend a lot of time playing this, really liked it. Liked how you could customise the cars. And, it had that synthesised speech in it, which it blows me away that they were able to do that on the Spectrum. to get any synthesized speech into it. How on earth they did that, I don't know, but it was really good. So yeah, they're kind of some of my favorite games. And so yeah, I was thinking this channel, what I'm probably going to try and do, some of the ideas I've got for videos. I've bought a ZXHD, which you probably can't see, but there's a box just behind me here that's got a ZXHD in it. So I'm going to build that, and I thought I could make a video about that perhaps. One of the reasons I want to do that is because I want to do some kind of let's play videos, and I want to be able to capture video from the Spectrum, but it's just a personal thing. I don't want to do it on an emulator. I don't really like emulators. I like to use the original hardware. So again, it's not an economical way to do it at all, but because it's a passion for me, I was happy to spend what is quite a bit of money to buy that, and hopefully then be able to capture on a modern capture card some of the let's play videos that I'd quite like to do. I'd like to do a TZX Duino as well. I was going to go for the cassette based build, the one that is built inside a cassette, but because I've read up and I understand you can't actually use that on the Amstrad CPC, I probably won't do it that way. That was one of the only reasons I was going to do it inside the tape so that I could use it on there, but apparently it's to do with not supporting the REM port functionality on a data coder, so I might just get a TZX Duino kit and just build one and maybe 3D print a case for it or something. I've got loads of fixes to do. I'm always fixing these things, and I've got down here, I've got a massive pile of broken consoles and stuff that need fixing up. Yeah, and I mentioned about the let's play videos already, but most of all I just want to be able to continue having fun with this and share what I'm doing, and hopefully people maybe will find it interesting. If you are interested in any of that, please let me know, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next video where I'm actually doing something a bit more interesting. Thank you.